Fellow comic collectors. This video is going to be on Jane Foster. Now, if you're into watching Marvel movies, the next big movie that's coming up very soon is the one for Thor. Um, it will have Natalie Portman coming back as Jane Foster. She's sort of the love interest of Thor. And it's rumored, and it's probably going to be true, that she's going to be the one that's going to become the next Thor. It happened in the comics already, and I think they're going to bring that story to the big screen. So these books that I'm going to be recommending right now are the ones that you should be looking at getting now before the movie's out, and before the prices just go through the roof. Uh, you know, these are the ones that you should pick up if you're interested in Thor and you're interested in this character, because she's going to be potentially the next Thor. And there's a cool story arc with her. And I don't really want to get into that. I just want to get really into the books. And the very first book that you should look at if you're interested in, beating the hype, is Journey into Mystery number 84. Now this book, this is a low to mid grade. This cost me about $500. It's just to give you a sense of how expensive these books are already. I've looked at eBay recently, and I think the same kind of grade goes for around $600-700 now. So it's gone up a little bit since I purchased it. I only purchased it a few months ago. So it's becoming a fairly hot book. It's the first appearance of Jane Foster, and it's also the second appearance of Thor. So it's kind of cool for two reasons. It's not just cool because of the character Jane Foster, but it's cool because it's also Thor's first appearance. So the next book, so you're probably wondering, okay, so this is the book where she becomes a character, but the book that actually is kind of cool is the What If, number 10. Now this book isn't within the continuity of the MCU, but it is a book where it's sort of what if Jane Foster had picked up the hammer and got the powers of Thor. And it sort of looked at that as a potential storyline. Now this book came out in 1978. So it's the first kind of appearance where Jane Foster is a Thor character. So this one is kind of one of those ones where, it's kind of almost considered the first appearance, but because it's outside of the MCU, it's kind of one of those ones where it's a little questionable. So, but it's one that's become really, really popular. This book will probably cost you around $100, depending on the grade. Now, this is a 9.0. It's a kind of a high grade, not mint, but close to mint. So this is a definitely one that you'd like to get. Again, it's the What If Jane Foster found the hammer of Thor, and it's number 10. The next one is kind of an interesting one. It's Hawkeye versus Deadpool. Now this is one that sort of like went under most people's radar, and it's Hawkeye versus Deadpool number 000, okay, 000. And look for the first print in this. If it has the red label, it's first print. If it's got the blue label, it's generally a second print. So what you want, the reason this is a kind of a cool book, and it's not just cool for the Jane Foster element, it's also the first cameo of Spider-Pool or Spider-Gwen, I think. Let me just double check. Yeah. I think it's Spider-Gwen. Yeah, Spider-Gwen. So it's the first cameo appearance of Spider-Gwen. And Spider-Gwen is a huge character right now. But it's also the first cameo appearance of Thor, Jane Foster. So Jane Foster as Thor. So it has two major cameos in it. So it's kind of a cool one to pick up. And it's the first of both. So this is a really interesting one to get. Really good buy to get right now, because it'll cost you about $15. I've seen it as low as 10, but usually about $15 to get this book. It's a really good one to pick up. The next major one to get is Thor God of Thunder number 25. And this is the second cameo appearance of Jane Foster as Thor. So it's kind of a, her identity is unknown. It's a bit of a flashback sequence, but it's the second cameo of Jane Foster as Thor. So another good one to get. I think this will cost you probably around $20 to get. If you get it in the CGC, of course, it's going to be more expensive than that because, just the cost of the case and stuff. But yeah, this is a good one to pick up as well. The last one in the series of ones that I recommend is this one, Thor number 1. It's Mighty Thor. Or this one is where she finally becomes Thor. It has her on the cover, and it's it's the final transformation of Jane Foster becoming fully realized as a Thor kind of character. So if you watch the animated series, they have her as Thor already in there. There's a lot of activity that's already happening around this character. It's probably the case that the next movie will be, as I said before, having her become Thor. So this book again is this one's becoming a little bit pricier, like not super pricey compared to the Journey into Mystery, but it's about $20 right now. It's pricey for a modern book, is what I'm trying to say, compared to some of the other ones I showed that are like $5 to $10. This one's about 20, so you can pick it up still pretty easily. It's a fairly well printed book. Some of the variants go for a bit more. I think there's like 12 variants to it. It's like there's so many variants to this. I think I have one. I think this is one of the variants. So this is one of the variants to the whole cover. There's like 12 different variants. So sometimes the variants will go for a bit more. And I'm not sure, is this the variant? No, this is not the variant. Sorry, this is the Mighty Thor number 1. This just has her on the cover. And I don't know, it's like a full picture. Sorry, I was going to say it was a variant, but it's not. So yeah, so the point is, these are the ones that you really want to get if you're interested in sort of beating the hype before the movie comes out. With the whole pandemic, things have been a little bit slow in terms of the comics and in terms of movies getting released. So it's actually a good time to pick up these books fairly cheaply because people are sort of wondering when the movie is going to come out now. It's not as obvious as it used to be. It's probably not even going to come out until next year. So getting them now, you're sort of beating the hype that maybe 1 or 2 weeks when they release the trailer or the hype really gets kind of going. People are going to be like, oh, I got to get all the Jane Foster stuff, and the price is just going to go through the roof. So generally the worst time to buy is when the trailer gets released because it's already too late by that point. So if you're going to buy these books, get it now, or even if you could have gotten it a few months ago when I bought them, it would have been even better. But these books are destined to do very, very well. And especially I think the next Thor movie will be a good one. And she's already in the animated series. So yeah, these are good books to get. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out my other videos. I try to show you key comics to collect. And I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.